Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, we're going to talk about what I think are the top 5 best classes in Warzone. I'll be covering everything from the best sniper class, what I think the best overall classes, and just everything in between. We're going to get right into it, and we're going to start with the class you're seeing in the background, and this is going to be the STG-44 with the Owen Gun. I have this number 1 not because I think it's outright the best class in the game. I have it number 1 because it's easily the most popular class in the game by a lot. Both guns in this class are very reliable, and I often enjoy using both. After the recent buffs to the STG, it's really become one of my favorite assault rifles, and it's easily one of the most popular assault rifles in the entire game, and you're going to understand why once you use it. I really enjoy the Owen Gun as well, although that one can be a little picky, and that's why I think some people may have issues with this class. That's why I'm going to list alternatives for every class so people have different options they can pick and choose from, because I know not every gun is going to work for every person. At number 2, we're going to have the ZRG and the Cooper Carbine. Now, the ZRG has recently become one of my favorite snipers to use, and the Cooper Carbine has always just been one of the most reliable sniper supports. I'm not saying this is absolutely the best sniper class out right now, but I do think it's the most reliable, and I think there's something to be said for that. Whether you play on console, whether you play Rebirth, whether you play Caldera, whether you just are a mouse and keyboard player, whatever, this combo will be solid. I don't think it's outright the best. I think there are certain combinations that may have higher skill caps, that may do more damage, that may have a slightly better sniper support in the close range, or whatever. But the overall point I want to get across is if you just look at the stats of both these guns, I think this is easily the best sniper class for the average player. Do make sure that you do check out the alternatives because I think those are all extremely good and pretty much just as good as this class I listed. So moving on from there, we're going to get into the third class, the PKM and the Bullfrog. I think this class is the most underrated class I'm going to talk about in this entire video because I don't really see people running it. Both the Bullfrog and the PKM are absolutely insane and deserve a lot more recognition. They both have their downfalls, they both have their issues and problems that may not make them absolutely S tier meta, but I can absolutely promise they're clearly strong enough to hang with any gun in the game, and if you use a class like this, you're not going to be disappointed. The PKM has some of the best damage of all assault rifles in the entire game, and the Bullfrog, if you can just hit 1 or 2 headshots, will compete with any SMG in the entire game just based off of sheer time to kill. The other good thing about them is they both have really easy to control recoil in terms of just feel, and that's a huge thing. I'm always talking about feel this, the way a gun feels, blah 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 blah, and this is something that really applies to both the PKM and the Bullfrog. They both have extremely manageable recoil, and they both feel extremely good damage wise, mobility wise. Okay, the PKM does not feel good mobility wise, but they both feel good overall, and I really think people in general are sleeping on this class. In the fourth spot, we're going to have the XM4 and the Type 100. So the thing that I want to make clear about this is the XM4 and Type 100 are actually very interchangeable, and this kind of represents a more high skill class where you put out more damage at the cost of having guns that have slightly more recoil. Now, in the background video, I'm using the Bullfrog with the XM4, and I would recommend a combo like that, but in all reality, I would recommend something more powerful than the Bullfrog. An example of that would be the Lapa, Owen Gun, and the Type 100 build I posted in the video. The reason for this class and the way that it is this is a very high skill class where you push things, you're very aggressive, and you go for the kills. The Bullfrog can fit because the Bullfrog scales with the headshot multiplier extremely well, but overall the point I want to get across is that this class is for more aggressive players that want to get a lot of kills and want high damage options, and they feel that they're able to control the recoil. This is not for the average player. These guns can still be used by the average players. Of course, I'm not trying to say that, but this class is more meant for people that be quote unquote considered sweaty like myself or someone like that. However, this isn't to say that if you're an average player, you shouldn't use a class like this. In most circumstances, it may affect your gameplay negatively in terms of score, but it's going to help you in the long run by learning recoil control and how to use more high skill tier weapons. I'm going to talk about the 5th and final class, but after I talk about that, I'm going to give 2 quote-unquote bonus classes that are going to be more suited for Rebirth. But now, in the 5th and final class, we're going to have the AMAX and the OTS-9. I really kind of debated putting the Ram 7 instead of the AMAX on this, but I'm just going to put in alternatives, and I do think both are almost equal, but I do think the AMAX is a little better. This class is actually kind of being slept on, and I know I kind of said that before, and I do say it a lot, but I really mean it. Both the power of these guns is really noticeable, especially on Rebirth. On Caldera, this class is definitely still good, and these guns are still really good, but I noticed that on Rebirth, they tend to shine a little more. Because of the high damage of the Ram 7 and the AIM-MAX and guns like the OTS and Kohler MP5, they really kind of shine on a map like this, whereas something like on Caldera, their small damage ranges can end up being a problem, and they also have pretty decent recoil. I really enjoy this class, especially if you're more of an aggressive player. This is really good for pushing people. This is really good in the close and mid-range, and it's a little more iffy in the long range, but that's kind of the point of the class. You want to kind of purposely eliminate any long range engagements, and you want to do that by having smart positioning and being overall a little bit more of an aggressive player. I don't think this class is necessarily meant for anyone, and that's why I like to do a lot of loadouts like this. Even by just doing 5, I don't feel like I've covered enough different playstyles to really get a good grasp on the overall meta, but there's only a limit on how long I can actually make this video. But the overall point I want to say with this class is this is more meant for quote-unquote aggressive players, but you can use it if you're not an aggressive player. It's not limited to only aggressive players. So now let's get into the bonus Rebirth classes. The first one is going to be the SPR in Owen Gun, and the second is going to be the XM4 in Jack 12. The reason I talk about the SPR in Owen Gun is I do feel that's the best sniper class for Rebirth Island currently. And the reason I talk about the XM4 in Jack 12 is I feel like that class is ridiculous on Rebirth. If you're just talking about outright what I think might be the most broken class if used correctly and in terms of raw stats, then it probably is going to be the XM4 in Jack 12. That shotgun is so broken. I'm not going to be putting it in a list. I'm not going to be telling people to use it. I'll let a couple people know. You know, the people that stick around to this point in the video, they can know about the Jack 12. No, I'm kidding. But it really is super broken. I don't want to see it everywhere, but I do have to just actually shout it out. A similar thing kind of goes out to the SPR in the Owen Gun. Overall, I talked about the other ZRG and Cooper Carbine sniper class, but I do think if you're a Rebirth only player, it may be worth using the SPR and the Owen Gun over the Cooper Carbine and the ZRG. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, you guys don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's been Ryan. I hope you have a good day. Peace.